There's a moment, a strange, silent one, when something inside you pauses. Maybe it hits in the chaos of a breakup or in the quiet just before sleep. But it hits. And in that moment, you realize you've been living a life that doesn't really belong to you. Not fully. Your choices, your reactions, your anger, even your pride, none of it feels authentic. It's as if you've been acting out a role someone else handed you, one scene at a time. Carl Jung had a name for the hidden forces behind that script, the unconscious. And once you start to recognize how it operates, everything changes. Because this isn't about philosophy, this isn't about ancient ideas or esoteric symbols. This is about you. The way you overthink, the way you pull away, the way you fear being seen, the way you try to control everything around you so you never feel out of control inside. Most people chase motivation. They search for inspiration, quick fixes, productivity hacks. But Jung didn't offer a motivational quote. He handed you a mirror. And he said, the first step toward change is awareness. Because the moment you become aware of your own patterns, your unconscious reflexes, you're no longer held hostage by them. Think about it. How many of your decisions are actually choices? And how many are reactions? Responses to a teacher who shamed you, a parent who ignored you, a partner who betrayed you. You tell yourself you don't trust people, but it's not really about them. You're reliving a wound you never let heal. You built walls to protect yourself. But those walls didn't keep out pain. They trapped it inside. You thought being low maintenance made you easier to love, but really it just made it easier for others to overlook you. You believed silence was strength, but over time, silence became your prison. And now you're exhausted. Not from living too much, but from living as someone you're not. That's when Jung metaphorically grabs you by the collar and tells you, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So what does that mean in real life? It means the way you speak, the people you attract, your relationship patterns, even your self-sabotage. All of it is being driven by parts of you that have been buried, not erased, not gone, just hidden. You fear abandonment, so you become clingy. You fear being invisible, so you chase people who ignore you. You fear being powerless, so you try to control everyone around you. The behaviors look different, but the roots are the same. Here's the kicker. You're not broken, you're just unconscious. And when you finally see that, when you catch your patterns in real time, your whole life splits open. You stop being a victim of your own history. You start being the author of your mind. But to do that, you have to look at what you've spent your whole life avoiding. And here's where the journey really begins. Not with light, but with darkness. Because what Jung teaches us next isn't meant to soothe your ego. It's meant to burn through it. He introduces you to the part of yourself you've hidden, rejected, or disowned for years. The shadow. Your shadow isn't evil. It isn't toxic. It's not the monster under your bed. It's the part of you that got shoved into the basement so you could survive. The part that had to be silenced, minimized, or denied just to be accepted. Maybe your family didn't tolerate emotional expression, so you learned to bury your feelings and become the strong one. Maybe school rewarded competition and perfection, so you faked confidence and smiled through anxiety. Maybe your ex made you feel ashamed for needing closeness, so you learned to suppress your vulnerability and act like you didn't care. But none of that pain vanished. It just sank deeper. And now it drives your behavior from the shadows, that quiet jealousy you feel when someone else shines. It's your own unlived potential screaming to be seen, that anger you hide with a smile. It's years of unmet needs finally reaching a boiling point. That bitterness you swallow every time you say yes when you mean no. It's self-betrayal turned into emotional erosion. Jung never told us to destroy the shadow. He told us to integrate it, Because until you face the parts of yourself you've disowned, the neediness, the rage, the fear, the control, you'll keep projecting those parts onto others. You'll keep blaming them for what you've buried in yourself. This is the moment you stop saying, "I don't know why I do that," and start saying, "I know exactly where that comes from." This is where healing begins, not by fixing yourself, but by knowing yourself. And that's the twist most people miss. You don't need to become someone new. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Because when you realize your entire life has been shaped by unconscious programming, from your childhood, your culture, your fears, it's not just enlightening, it's liberating. It explains why you keep choosing emotionally unavailable people, why success feels empty, why your peace never lasts, why your confidence evaporates under pressure. It's not bad luck. It's not some personal flaw. It's your unconscious driving the show. But now you see it. You've woken up. And that's where the real transformation starts. Because once you make the unconscious conscious, you stop blaming the world. You stop chasing validation. You stop repeating pain that only feels familiar but was never meant to define you. This isn't just psychology, it's your freedom. So now you've peeled back one layer of illusion. You've seen the unconscious face the shadow, but there's another mask still clinging to your identity. And it's more deceptive than the shadow because you didn't hide it. You built it. You sculpted it carefully over years out of necessity. Jung called it the persona. At first, the persona isn't a lie. It's protection. It's how you learn to survive in a world that didn't always accept the raw, unfiltered you. The first time someone mocked your sensitivity, you toughened up. The first time you were told to sit still and be good, you learned to suppress your curiosity. When your truth felt too loud, too needy, too weird, you learned to silence it. And slowly the mask fused with your skin. You forgot where it ended and you began. You smiled when you were breaking. You acted confident while anxiety ate you alive. You said it's fine when everything inside you screamed otherwise. You became the agreeable one, the achiever, the helper, the good girl, the tough guy. And people applauded you for it. But Jung warned us, the persona may win approval, but it comes at the cost of authenticity. The more you perform what's acceptable, the more invisible your true self becomes. Until one day you wake up in a crowd of people who admire you and feel completely alone. Because they don't love you. They love the mask. And the worst part? You trained them to. You showed them your best behavior, your resilience, your polished responses, but not your raw fears, your contradictions, your humanness. So now they expect you to always show up, always smile, always say yes. And every time you do, a little part of you disappears. Here's the tragic irony. The persona was meant to protect you from rejection. But in the end, it only ensured that no one truly knows you. And no applause, no promotion, no praise can ever fill that void. Because the life you're living, it may be successful, it may be impressive, but if it isn't yours, it will always feel hollow. Jung said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent." But what if you have become that parent to yourself? What if you are now suppressing your own instincts, your own truth, because your persona has taken over? Here's the moment of reckoning. You've been waiting for someone to notice, to ask if you're okay, to give you permission to be real. But no one's coming, because the mask is working too well. You're doing such a convincing job of looking fine that the world believes you are. And yet inside you know something's not right. You know that beneath the performance there's a voice begging for air. A version of you that's not polished, not perfect, but real. This is where everything begins to unravel. Not in a destructive way, but in a necessary one. Because once you've seen the shadow and felt the mask melt in your hands, you can no longer pretend. You start to notice it in real time. The tension in your chest when you agree to something you don't want to do. The fake laugh you give to keep the peace. The tightness in your throat when you swallow a truth that desperately wants out. These aren't just passing sensations, they're signals. Your real self banging on the walls of your persona, begging to be let out. And when you finally listen, the world shifts. You start doing the unthinkable. You say no. You disappoint people. You take a break. You rest without guilt. You ask for help. You cry in front of someone instead of waiting until you're alone. You walk away from things that look perfect on paper but feel wrong in your bones. At first it feels like rebellion, but it's not. It's integration. Jung never told you to destroy the persona. He told you to reclaim the self that got lost behind it. Because the persona was never evil. It was just incomplete. A performance without depth. A version of you that was safe but not whole. And this process of returning to yourself? It's not glamorous. It doesn't get likes. You won't be praised for finally saying no to that thing that drains you. In fact, you might lose people. Some will resist the change. Some will fall away because your authenticity will disrupt the dynamics they've come to rely on. But the ones who stay, they'll finally meet the real you. Not the always smiling, always agreeing, always hustling version, but the scarred, truthful, bold, sometimes messy, fully alive version. And that is the only kind of connection that ever truly heals. Jung understood something most self-help books avoid. Healing doesn't look good. It looks like crying on your kitchen floor. It looks like awkward conversations and shaky boundaries. It looks like saying, "I don't know who I am anymore," out loud. But beneath all that mess is your soul resurfacing. The world told you to be polished. Your parents told you to be strong. Your culture told you to be productive. But your body, your spirit, they're asking for something different. They're asking for truth. And the truth is this. Living as someone you're not might keep the peace. It might win you applause. But it will cost you everything that matters. You'll feel it one day, in the fatigue that won't go away, in the numbness even after achievement, in the hollowness after every yes you didn't mean, in the weight of your own silence, that heaviness in your chest. It's not depression, it's misalignment. It's your real self suffocating beneath the weight of who you've been pretending to be. But you're not lost, you're not broken, you're just buried. And the process of coming home to yourself, that's not self-sabotage, that's self-return. This is the moment everything begins to crystallize, not into perfection, but into clarity. Because when you stop running from your shadow, when you loosen your grip on the persona, when you finally stand still in the wreckage of all your performances, you meet yourself, maybe for the first time. Carl Jung never promised the path to wholeness would be easy. He promised it would be real. And real means raw. It means disappointing people. It means risking being misunderstood. It means losing roles you once thought defined you. But what you gain in return is something most people never touch. Authentic power. Because when you stop filtering yourself for approval, when you speak your truth even if your voice shakes, when you feel your anger instead of suppressing it, you reclaim the energy you've been leaking for years. That power doesn't come from being louder or more productive. It comes from being honest. Here's the secret no one tells you. You're not exhausted because you do too much. You're exhausted because you betray yourself too often. Every time you said yes when your body screamed no. Every time you smiled through resentment. Every time you pushed down what you needed to keep the peace. It added up. And now it's not just fatigue, it's hollowness. But even that hollowness holds meaning. It's a compass pointing back to everything you've abandoned. Not because you're weak, but because you were taught to abandon it. That ache in your chest, that's not a flaw. It's your soul knocking. And it's asking you one question. If you weren't afraid, what would you do right now? That question, simple, piercing, terrifying, is the doorway. Because behind every fear is your forgotten self. The self that's bold, the self that's messy, The self that doesn't need permission. The self that's been buried under conditioning, culture, and fear. Yes, this realization will change your life, but only if you're brave enough to act on it. Because now you can't unknow what you've seen. You've glimpsed the unconscious. You've named the shadow. You've heard the cracks in your persona. Now comes the terrifying and beautiful part. Letting go of who you thought you had to be, to become who you really are. It won't be easy. You'll lose people, you'll lose control, you'll lose the version of yourself that once felt safe. But what you'll gain: clarity, peace, wholeness, real connection. And finally, real self-love, not the kind found in affirmations, but the kind earned by facing your deepest truths with compassion. So here's the choice. Go back. Put the mask back on, scroll, smile, survive, or walk toward the fire into the unknown and finally meet yourself. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." This is your awakening. If this message cracked something open inside you, if you felt exposed, seen, or maybe just finally real, you're not alone. Comment below. This is the moment I return to me. Let the world know you're done performing. And if you're ready for more raw, real, truth-filled journeys like this, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Because your healing isn't over, it's just begun.